Welcome back, everybody. If you know what that song is that played during the intro, call me up at the studio, 866-582-9933, and I will send you a free copy of my book. If you know what that song was that just played on the lead into this part of the show, call up the studio, talk to me live on the air, tell me what it was, and I will send you a free copy of Who Made the MD Emperor Has No Clothes. The MD Emperor Has No Clothes. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, ladies and gentlemen. This is the second segment of today's Fire Your MD Now live radio program. The number to call to talk with me, 866-582-9933. We're going to go right back to the phones now. Abby is calling up about a friend's mother. Hey, Abby, thanks for the call.
Hello, Dr. Glidden. Here I am again. I have a friend whose mother has arthritis, and he was asking me if she should take the standard arthritis pack or she should take something extra. She wants to see results as soon as possible. She's in real bad pain, knees, hands, shoulders, everything hurts. She's 152 pounds, 152.
Okay, so at 150 pounds, she needs 15 glucogel a day. That's 450, right? It's 450 a month. So if you buy her 2 bottles of the glucogel at the 240 count, that's 480 capsules a month. That's 16 a day. That's kind of a better way to do it. So in the Healthy Arthritis Pack, the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, rather, there's 1 bottle of Glucogel 240. So what I would do is I'd get her 1 Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, 1 bottle of the Glucogel at the 240 count, and 3 bottles of the selenium. 3 bottles of selenium, 1 bottle of Glucogel at the 240 count, and 1 Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. And have her apply the CM cream that's in the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack topically on the joints that are bothering her pain-wise. Wait 15 minutes and see if the pain is reduced. And if the pain is reduced by the topical application of the CM cream, the pain should stay reduced for 4 or 5 hours. And then when it starts to pick back up again, she can use more CM cream topically. That stuff is non-habit forming. It's non-addictive. There's no side effects. It's an excellent topical sedative that you can use to knock down inflammation in a joint while you're waiting for the medical nutrition to feed the body's ability to optimize its health internally. And that's how I would do that one. The only other thing that anybody can do, right, to optimize the performance of this would be to add a bottle of digestive enzymes, 1 or 2 bottles of digestive enzymes a month. Take 2 or 3 digestive enzymes at the very beginning of the meal because those will help your body to digest food and nutrients, and, it facilitates the uptake of this stuff into the body faster. So if she's looking for better, faster results, that's one way to do it. And, of course, everybody, right, has to be gluten-free. So if she's not going to be gluten-free, she shouldn't even do any of this because it's just not going to work. Well, it will work, but it'll take so long and it'll be so slow a process that she'll abandon ship. So that's how I would handle that one, man. She should notice a relief within 7 days. There should be at 150 pounds. She should notice difference within 7 days. And quite frankly, she should notice something remarkable within 20 minutes of applying the CM cream topically. But remember, this is a comprehensive, holistic thing, right? So we do the nutritional supplements appropriate for body weight, and we eliminate the bad food from the diet. Bada bing, bada boom, and use the CM cream topically, and life should be good. Sound like a deal?
Thank you.
All right, Abby, keep up the good work, man. Abby's burning it up down there in Miami, folks. Look out for Abby. He's going to make a big splash down in Florida because everybody is sick and suffering. And if you heard Abby's testimonial a couple of weeks ago on the radio and you weren't in tears, then I don't know what's wrong with you. He had a laundry list, I think, of 29 different symptoms that he'd been laboring under for decades, a long, long time. 29 symptoms, big bad stuff. just thought it was part of life, just thought it was the deal, just thought it was part of living here on planet Earth. Well, guess what? It wasn't. The only reason he'd been sick and suffering most of his life was because he went to the wrong doctor. Why did he go to the wrong doctor? He didn't know there was a difference. Nobody knows there's another way. Nobody knows there are alternatives to drugs and surgery, and there are. And that's what we do. And that's why Abby now is burning it up in Florida, because everybody in the Cubano community down there, you know, it's a tight-knit group of people. They're looking at him thinking it's Lazarus resurrected. For goodness sake, if that isn't an enrollment tool, I don't know what is. And this is why Longevity thrives where other nutritional supplement companies fail, because Longevity's supplements actually work. Why do they work? Because they are based on $25 million of federally funded research, 26,000 autopsies, 10 million blood chemistries and histopathologies, and over 3 decades of work, clinical work, by the most lauded, most experienced naturopathic physician in the world, Dr. Joel Wallach. So, look, if you want medical advice about nutrition, about alternatives to drugs and surgery to support and promote the ability of your body to fix itself, and you don't pay attention to Dr. Wallach, then you're barking up the wrong tree. Now I have a number of colleagues who are very experienced, and, you know, I've got one in Jim Sensenig in Connecticut, Steve McPherson in Seattle, Pat Scott in Tacoma. I have a number of people around the country that I have no problem referring people to if you live in those states. But if you don't live in those states and you're up against it, well, guess what? Dr. Wallach has generated for you a generic health recovery protocol. Most of the time, it's all that you need to do, because your body knows how to fix itself. Your body wants to fix itself. And, you know, it's the simplest things that are the hardest things for people to accept. We've been pigeonholed into believing, we've been brainwashed into believing for the last 100 years that healing is a sophisticated, complicated process. Oh, you got to have CTs. You got to have MRIs. You got to have all this expensive blood work. Oh, you got to spend 3 days in the hospital so the doctors can dial it in. No, you don't. The only time you need to spend more than 2 hours in a hospital is if you're bleeding to death, for goodness sake. Fire your MD. Fire your MD. You know, not often. Fire your MD once, and then don't go back to him unless you're bleeding to death, for goodness sake. But I could go on and on. I won't. Joe's up next. You think he knows what the intro music was? Joe, welcome aboard. You are live.
All I'm doing is telling you how old I am, Doc, and that was Yes, the name of the song is Roundabout.
Oh, Joe, you are the man. You are the man. Yeah, Yes, right? What a group, huh? Whatever happened to Yes? You don't hear from them anymore. I guess they're gone by the boards, right?
Yeah, well, they've gone off into solo careers and studio musicians and the like.
Yeah, John Anderson, man, he was really something. And what was the name of the guy on the guitar? What was his name?
You got me.
Oh, come on, I'm gonna think about it in a minute. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, one of my favorite groups from the 70s. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. So, Joe, listen, after I'm done answering your question here, tell the studio guys, give the studio guys your name and address, and I'll send you out a copy of the book tomorrow. Sound good?
Okay, I'll stay on the line then.
All right, Skipper. So you got a question about someone with diabetes?
No, I just wanted a copy of your book, Doc.
You're the man. Thanks a lot for calling in. Thank you even more for listening. Stick around. Those guys will tell you what to do. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Teresa. Oh, Teresa, so bad. Joe beat you to it. Sorry about that. Mark, he also wanted to tell me what the intro music was, but he also has a question. All right, Teresa. Teresa, are you there? If Teresa's there, come on board, Teresa. Tell me what the intro music was. Yeah, Teresa probably hung up. All right, we're going to Mark. Mark, are you there?
I rock out with you every day, so I knew the answer right away, but I figured somebody else would get it. But
all right, Mark, hey, I'm in a given mood today. I'm going to give you a copy of the book, too. So before you hang up, talk to the studio guys, give them your address, and life is good. I got copies here. I got to give them away, buddy, and you are hired. And I think you also have a question. Is that right?
Well, no, I had a comment. Apparently the Pope isn't feeling so great, and he's resigning at the end of the month, and I thought if some enterprising longevity distributor had a direct contact to the Vatican, Can you imagine having 8 bazillion Catholics in your downline?
Well, look, yes, I can. I imagine stuff like that all the time. And, let me tell you a little bit about that because it's an interesting thing to talk about, both in kind of a fantasy land way and also in a sad reality-based way.
Yeah.
I'm a big golfer, right? Tiger Woods, for goodness sake, broke his knee swinging a golf club. Did he break his knee because he swung too forcefully? No. He broke his knee because his body didn't have the nutrients it needed to keep the knee joint healthy. It's only a matter of time until that goes south again. Phil Mickelson has rheumatoid arthritis, and the doctors are giving him Enbrel. They're going to kill him. Something bad is going to happen. Those chickens it's only a matter of time before they come home to roost, because the Enbrel that he's taking does not get to the root of what's causing the problem. There's all these professional athletes all the time. Bobby Orr, for goodness sake, he had the 2 worst knees in all of professional sports. There's all of these guys, and then there's celebrities, right? The Pope, for goodness sake. Neil Armstrong, for goodness sake. All of these people who we could help. And yet professional people like that, celebrities like that, they've got walls of people between you and them. There's no way you can get to them, which is a tragedy, no pun intended, in the Pope's case, of biblical proportions, because, yes, we could, in fact, help him. We could, in fact, help him if we could get in to see him, but we can't get in to see him because, that's life. It's one of life's greatest ironies. The people that need the help the most, the people that have the most money, the people to whom money is no issue, we can't get to them because, remember, we're the alternative quacks, right? We are the back of the bus people. We're the dangerous people that don't know what they're doing. Meanwhile, the MDs roll out expensive, toxic, deadly therapeutics, and they line up, bend over, and take it. Look, if you've got an in with the Pope, give me a call. You've got an in with Phil Mickelson, give me a call. I'm waiting right here to take your call, and I'm going to put them under Mark and Mark's downline. How about that? Mark, stick around. Give your address to the folks at the radio station. I'm sending you a copy of my book. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, I think. Boys at the studio are on their game today. Steve Howe is the name of the guitarist. Steve Howe, thanks to the boys behind the scenes, taking your calls and handling the soundboards at GCN, the Genesis Communication Network, up there in Chilly Willy, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thanks a lot for the heads up, boys. I think there is a caller on the line. Bob, is there a Bob calling? Bob, if you're there, you are live.
Thanks for taking my call. I have a husband and wife, both struggling a little bit. He's 70 years old, about 180 or 70, and he's got diabetes and hypothyroid.
If it's type 1 or type 2 diabetes?
That's type 2.
Oh, okay. How long's he had that?
I'd say it's been 10 years or more.
Yeah, you know how much he weighs?
About 170, 180.
Or is that a good weight for him, or you think he could stand to lose a few pounds?
Well, it's not too bad of a weight for him. He told me he had gastric bypass surgery to lose it. He had a lot of weight that he lost.
So he's had a gastric bypass?
Yeah, he's had a lot of weight that he lost.
Yeah, okay. Well, see, this is a shame. So he's got type 2 diabetes. What's the other thing?
He was reading a naturopathic book and figured out he thinks he has hypothyroid because he puts a thermometer underneath his armpit before he gets out of bed, and it's down 95, 96, 94 sometimes.
Yeah, all right. He might have a hypothyroid condition. Let me tell you how this goes, man. Really, and every time I start to talk about this particular situation, my Irish gets up, because medical doctors, I'll say it for the millionth time, they've gotten it completely backwards. They have blinders on. It's like you know, they've got these rose-colored glasses on, and it colors everything that they see, but they've had them on for so long they don't even know they're on anymore. And so every single solitary thing that they're seeing is colored, and they don't know that it's colored. It's biased. They've got it wrong. Type 2 obesity, which was this guy's original complaint, obesity is not caused because your stomach's too big. That's what the MDs think. So they think, right, oh, you're fat, and because you're fat, you're a candidate for all these other illnesses. Well, you're not. You're not a candidate for type 2 diabetes or for heart disease because you're fat. When you get fat, you're fat because your body has lost nutrients. That's the only thing that makes people eat too many calories. The only thing that makes people gain weight is we eat too many calories. The only reason we eat too many calories is because our bodies are starved for nutrition, and Mother Nature forces you to eat. But the food that you're eating doesn't have the nutrients in it. So we eat and we eat and we eat in the desperate attempt to fill our tank up, but the tank remains empty because the food doesn't have what we need. And so we'll eat 3,000 calories at Olive Garden, and 2 hours later we're hungry again. And so we eat and we eat and we gain weight and we gain weight and we gain weight, and it's all because of nutrient deficiencies. But the MDs look at this and they say, oh, no, it's your stomach that's the problem. We have to cut your stomach out, and that's basically what a gastric bypass surgery is. They completely bypass your stomach, which is a fool's errand. So now the stomach is, a main link in the digestive cascade. And when you eliminate the stomach completely, which is just barbaric, by the way, it's almost impossible for your system to digest other nutrients that are in the food, out of the food, and so you're going to accelerate the genesis of all the other illnesses that the MDs thought were associated with weight gain in the first place. Yeah, high blood pressure is not related to being obese. High blood pressure is related to nutrient deficiencies, which are the same thing that cause you to be obese. It's different arms of the same octopus. Type 2 diabetes is a nutrient deficiency disease, which will be accelerated by a gastric bypass. I mean, it's nonsense. So because he's had the gastric bypass, he's in trouble, man, and, so we got to double down with his nutritional supplements. So because of the gastric bypass, I would double everything. I would give him a 300-pound dose. And I would start with 3 healthy blood sugar packs a month, 3 healthy blood sugar packs a month, and 4 bottles of selenium a month. That's all I'd give him. I'd give him 3 healthy blood sugar packs and 4 bottles of selenium for 90 days. Plus, please also advise him, especially since he's had the gastric bypass, to eliminate the 10 bad foods. Man, I don't even want him to say the word gluten, all right? Gluten for him is death on a plate. I don't even want him to say the word gluten for the rest of his life. 0 tolerance for the 10 bad foods, 4 bottles of selenium a month, and 3 healthy blood sugar packs. Have him do that for 90 days. Make sure, of course, he continues to measure his blood sugars, because as they come down, he's going to need to reduce the meds, and that's a beautiful thing.
I've got one more for his wife.
All right. That music so much. I could listen to that all day. Bob, I think, is still hanging on with us. He's got question number 2. What's up, Bob?
Yeah, this guy's wife, she's about 70, 69, and she has bad digestion, and after 3 or 4 swallows during the meal, then it gets harder to swallow.
Yeah.
She has real bad heartburn. Yeah. And I said, well, you shouldn't love wheat. You shouldn't love noodles. She loves that bread, toast, wheat, all that stuff. Because I got rid of that, and that got rid of my acid reflux.
Yeah, isn't that funny, right? People just aren't going to listen. But there is an interesting little segue here, Bob. When the throat won't close, when as you swallow more and more stuff and your throat gets more and more constricted, that's because there's a muscle in there. It's a smooth muscle, and when smooth muscles constrict and relax, you don't feel it. You don't get a cramp, like you would if you get a cramp in your calf muscle, for instance, at night in bed, if you get a Charlie horse, right? Or you get a cramp in in another muscle, you feel that. But when a smooth muscle cramps up, you don't feel it because smooth muscles don't have any sense receptors in them. And your entire digestive tract is completely composed of smooth muscle. And if it weren't, then we'd be in agony all day long because the muscles of the abdomen are constantly constricting and relaxing to help the body move food down through the intestinal tract, right? So when her throat closes up like that and she can't swallow, it's because the smooth muscle is contracting. And why is the smooth muscle contracting? Well, probably because it doesn't have enough calcium and magnesium, because that's what causes muscle cramps, not enough calcium and magnesium. Interestingly enough, not enough calcium is the other thing, one of the three things actually, that causes heartburn. So not enough salt and consistent consumption of gluten would be the other. So I'm going to, 5 will get you 10. She's got a bad calcium deficiency. And here's what you're going to give her. If she's a hard sell and she doesn't want to take the full boat, then just give her the OsteoFX Plus.
She said whatever it takes.
All right, so then the recommendation would be a Healthy Start Pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 extra bottle of Cal Toddy per month, right? And you want to round it up. So if she's 130, give her the 150-pound dose. If she's 160, give her the 200-pound dose, and so forth.
Yeah, we'll go to 200.
And an extra bottle of Cal Toddy, all right? Okay. So that would be 2 Healthy Starts and 1 bottle of Cal Toddy. Now, to help ease the heartburn and just facilitate the resolution of the whole enchilada here, I would give her 2 bottles of Ultimate Enzymes a month, 2 bottles of Ultimate Enzymes. Have her take 2 or 3 of the enzymes before or at the beginning of a meal. Okay. And 4 bottles of selenium, if it's in the budget, 4 bottles of selenium. I wanted to take at least 2 bottles of selenium a month, because everybody needs to be taking selenium because it's such a profoundly effective anti-cancer medicine. It is such a good anti-cancer medicine, it is not even funny. So that's where I would start. And you don't want to give her too much grief, because she's a victim of her own body to a certain extent, because one of the things that happens is, and this again is just a cruel, I hope that the powers that be didn't know that this was the way that it was. Because if they knew that this was the way that it was, and they have been convincing us for the last 50 years to eat wheat as much as they have, and they know that all of these things is what wheat does, and they did it on purpose, then what the heck? I mean, that's just sadistic, quite frankly. Yeah. Dr. Wallach doesn't think they're smart enough to do that. He thinks they're just stupid, and that this is just the way that things happened and rolled out. Who knows? But one of the things that happens when you eat wheat, barley, rye, and oats is the gluten in those grains hurts the intestinal tract. And one of the things it does is it destroys the tissue in the intestinal tract that absorbs nutrients. But another thing that it does is it punches little microscopic holes in the intestinal tract, which we refer to as a leaky gut. And when you have a leaky gut, you get food allergies. So eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats paves the way for an allergy. You can have an allergy to carrots. You can have an allergy to tomatoes. Or, guess what? You can have an allergy to wheat, barley, rye, and oats, which is really like kicking somebody when they're down. Now, one of the curious things about a food allergy is you tend to crave the stuff that you're allergic to. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So because when you eat a food that you're allergic to, one of the things that happens is it creates inflammation. I mean, that's just one of the results of eating a food that you're allergic to. It capitulates an allergy response, and that capitulates an inflammatory response, and now there's inflammation in the body. And when there's inflammation in the body, the adrenal glands kick in, and they secrete cortisol. Now, cortisol is a very powerful biochemical. It's what prednisone and cortisone are modeled after, interestingly enough. And when you have cortisol coursing through your veins, you like the way that feels. and the body uses the cortisol to put out the inflammatory fires that the food allergy developed. So every time you eat wheat, for instance, your body creates inflammation, and then you get cortisol coursing through your veins, and you get addicted to the cortisol high. So subconsciously, you crave the foods that you're allergic to catch the cortisol buzz, and you don't even know that it's happening. So,
like a 6-year-old kid that has a peanut allergy, is that because he's been on too much wheat?
Yes.
From when he was born?
Yeah, it's either wheat consumption since birth, or if he was breastfed and the mother was eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats her whole life, and then she had food allergies and she passed the antibodies to him in the breast milk, and then again the kid is screwed. And so, which is why, ironically, in many cases, what Dr. Wallach and I advise, and this was an aha moment that I had, Bob. This was an aha moment that I had. When Dr. Wallach told me this, my head exploded. Wallach said that one of the leading causes of childhood trouble is breastfeeding. Breastfeeding. You think a naturopathic doctor, the first, second, and third thing they're going to tell somebody is to breastfeed, right? Because what could be more natural than that? Well, if the mother's body is loaded with antibodies to food because she has leaky gut, because she's been eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats her whole life, because Betty Crocker told her to, because Procter & Gamble told her to, because Monsanto told her to, right? Then the kid is going to have food allergies, and one of the worst things the mother can do is breastfeed. So interestingly enough, we don't recommend mothers with chronic diseases, if you have more than 2 illnesses and you've given birth to a child, like if you have asthma and eczema, don't breastfeed. Go online and do a Google search for a goat's milk baby formula and give that to the child instead, along with the 90 essential nutrients. And by the way, this is one of the ways that naturopathic doctors in the old school naturopathy that I was trained in, old school naturopathy, I don't know what the heck they're teaching kids in school these days. Quite frankly, it's not naturopathic medicine anymore, and maybe that's the subject for an entire radio show. But what I was taught in naturopathic medical school is that one of the ways you can determine what somebody is allergic to is by having them do diet diary. And you look to see the stuff that they crave. So you just have them write down everything that they eat for 3 or 4 days. Every single time they eat something, you write it down. They don't modify it. They just eat what they normally eat, but then they write it down. And after 3 days, you can look at the list and see, son of a gun, they're eating a ton of spinach, or son of a gun, they're eating a ton of wheat, or son of a gun, whatever the heck they're eating the most of, they're probably allergic to it. And then how do you figure out and dial that in for sure? Well, you get the list of the top 5 foods that you think they're allergic to, and you eliminate them from their diet completely for 14 days, 10 days in a row, 14 days in a row. 14 days is better. Eliminate those 5 foods for 14 days in a row, and then on day 15 you reintroduce one of the foods, wait a day, reintroduce another food, wait a day, reintroduce another food, wait a day, reintroduce the other food, and so forth. And when you reintroduce the food that you think that they're allergic to, if they're allergic to it, after they eat it, and they've been avoiding it for 14 days, something's going to flare up. They're going to get a symptom. They're going to get a headache. Their energy is going to crash. A chronic health complaint is going to flare up. Their pulse is going to accelerate. Something's noticeable is going to happen if you've been avoiding a food that you're allergic to and then you throw it back in your diet. So that's kind of an old-fashioned naturopathic way to determine what you're allergic to without having to do fancy, expensive blood work that isn't that sensitive or specific anyway. So I know that's a long answer to your question, Bob, but that's the mood that I'm in today. But in any event, man, I appreciate what you do for your community, and you're to be applauded for what you do for your community. Quite frankly, you're picking up the ball that your medical professionals in your community have dropped, and you are to be congratulated for that, Bob. So go out there and get them, man, and keep up the good work. Thank you so much for the call. Teresa's back. It looks like Teresa's back. Her daughter has Crohn's disease, I think. Is that right, Teresa? Thanks for calling. You're live.
Yes, I'm here now. I have a daughter who is 21 now, but when she was 10, she was diagnosed with Crohn's. The treatment she had was, of course, prednisone for a little while, and then she went to Remicade till she was 13.
Ouch.
She kept having allergic reactions to the Remicade.
Yeah.
And I kept asking her doctor if he could find another way to treat her, and he wouldn't. So my husband and I said, we're done. We're not doing that anymore. Then we started her on a probiotic and a product called Lipronol.
Yeah.
And she was on that for 5 years, and she did really well.
Good for you.
She started growing again. She looked healthy finally.
Yeah.
Well, then when she turned like 18 and got a little older, she decided she didn't need that stuff anymore.
Well, youth is wasted on the young, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then last year she started having trouble again. And
last year, how old was she?
20.
All right, so it took 2 years for those chickens to come back to roost, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so now she's only a couple months now. She's been on the probiotic again and some other supplements, but I just wanted to know what you thought maybe she should do.
All right. Well, I appreciate the trust and I appreciate the phone call. And don't hang up. I'm going to walk you right through this. So what we always attempt to do, what the MDs never do, is get to the root cause of the problem. So, it's smart and prudent and mandatory, quite frankly, to give the body the stuff that it needs to fix itself, if it's able to fix itself, and most of the time it is able to fix itself. But while we're giving the body the right stuff that it needs to fix itself, it would also be wise to stop eating stuff that's causing the problem, right? I mean, for goodness sake, if you had, emphysema, I could give you stuff that would support and promote the health of your lungs, but you got to stop smoking cigarettes, man. Or, you can't really expect to get any better. So when we come back from the break, Teresa, I'm going to tell you what you've missed, and really it's easy to overlook this, and it's very, very easy to fix. The only trouble is going to be convincing your daughter to do it. Stick around, ladies and gentlemen. This is Fire Your MD Now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes left in the last segment here. We're going to try to get your questions answered. Right now we're talking to Teresa about her daughter's history of Crohn's disease. Now, Teresa, was the Crohn's a definitive diagnosis, or did the MDs just say, well, we don't know, we think it's probably Crohn's? Was it presumptive or was it definitive, or don't you remember?
It was definitive. I know when she had her scope done, the doctor said it was the worst insides he's ever seen on a child.
Oh, yeah. All right. So,
and it was the cobbled, looked like cobbled stone. And
yeah, all right. So that's as definitive as it gets. So from our point of view, the main causative factor, actually the only causative factor we can't say the only, but the main causative factor is wheat, barley, rye, and oats over time. So the recommendation here for her, for you, for me, and for everybody, to prevent getting this illness or any other facultative breakdown in the digestive tract, the cells and tissues of the digestive tract, is to become gluten-free. Have you walked down that road with her yet?
We just talked to her about it last night because we heard you talking about it online or sometime just recently, and so we were talking to her about it last night. Okay,
so this is the thing, you don't know what you don't know, and it's also why it's called the practice of medicine, because, we learn stuff as we go down the track. And this was another thing that I learned from Dr. Wallach, and God bless Dr. Wallach. So from our point of view, irritable bowel, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, and celiac disease are all the same disease, more or less, just more and more and more and more tissue destruction. Right. And, there's some people that, they're so allergic to cats that if they're in the same room that a cat lived in 3 years ago, they're going to start sneezing their head off. And there's other people, they're allergic to cats, but not that much, and they can be in a room with a cat. As long as the cat's not up on their lap, they're good to go. Well, it's more or less the same with gluten. There are some people that they've got it like their reaction to gluten is like super bad, man. I mean, it is super bad. And there's other people not so much, and there's other people kind of, it's a low-grade thing, and it takes 30 years for those chickens to come home to roost, to complete the metaphor for today. So the recommendation here would be twofold. Number one, in addition to wheat, barley, rye, and oats, which would be the main things to consider here removing from her diet, we've also identified 6 other foods that generate net negative effects on the human body. There are 10 foods that we recommend everybody just stop eating completely. And, for the sake of redundancy, you can just I don't want to read the list over the air 50 times a day. You've got the list? Okay, good. Right, so I want everybody in your family to stop eating those 10 bad foods. Just stop it. And with kids, 18, maybe she'll do it, maybe she won't. But what I would do with an 18-year-old is make a bargain. I would say, look, we're going to eliminate wheat, barley, rye, and oats for 14 days. And I'm going to give you a reward on day 7, and then I'm going to give you a reward on day 14, and whatever the reward is. I don't know, maybe a ticket to a concert or an iPad app or whatever it is that she likes, you can dangle in front of her to make her be gluten-free for 14 days, all right? And then on day 15, give her a big stack of pancakes for breakfast, or give her a bagel for breakfast, or give her something that's got a lot of gluten in it, and look to see what happens. And 9 times out of 10, on day 15, when kids, or when anybody, reintroduces gluten, they feel it. And then she has the direct personal experience. Holy smokes, this stuff makes me feel like crap. And I don't care how old she is. I don't care if she's 5 years old or 95 years old. When you have that experience, you're not going to want to eat that stuff anymore. And it's better if she dials it in that way than just because Dr. Glidden told her not to eat it, or her mom told her not to eat it, right? Okay, so in addition to that, which would be the most important thing from my point of view, I would also give her 1 healthy digestion pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 bottle of Ultimate Selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month, and 1 packet of root beer